Welcome back to Tech Talk AI on AI, everyone. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of AI applications, exploring the journey from a spark of an idea to a fully operationalized system. We've got a fantastic panel of experts joining us. We have a seasoned AI strategist, a brilliant data scientist, and a very experienced DevOps engineer, each bringing a unique perspective to the table. Let's start with the ideation phase. What are some of the key considerations when brainstorming potential AI applications from the business perspective?
Well, from a strategic standpoint, you need to begin with the end in mind, Identify the business problems that you're hoping to solve and determine how AI can provide tangible value. It's not just about using AI for the sake of it. It's about aligning AI initiatives with overall business objectives, like increasing efficiency, reducing costs, enhancing customer experiences, or unlocking new revenue streams.
That makes sense. So, how do you translate those business objectives into something technically feasible? Data scientist, can you shed some light on that?
Sure. Once you have a clear business problem, you need to assess whether you have the right data and whether the problem is solvable with current AI techniques. We look at data availability, quality, and, relevance. We also consider things like the complexity of the problem, the potential for automation, and whether we can define clear metrics for success. It's kind of like detective work, but with algorithms and data sets.
Interesting. So it's like making sure you have the right ingredients before you start cooking. DevOps engineer, from your perspective, what are some early considerations for ensuring a smooth transition from idea to implementation?
Absolutely. From an ops perspective, even at the ideation phase, we need to think about the infrastructure required to support the AI application. Things like scalability, security, and maintainability are crucial. We start thinking about the tech stack, data pipelines, and how we'll, eventually deploy and monitor the application. Early planning saves a lot of headaches later on.
That's a great point. So once you've validated the idea and have a plan, how do you move into building the actual framework for your AI application? Strategist, can you walk us through that process?
Yeah, so building on the technical feasibility, the framework is where you define the specific AI models, the data pre-processing steps, the evaluation metrics, and the overall architecture of the system. This is where you bring in your domain experts, those legal eagles or financial whizzes, to help refine the model's inputs and outputs. It's like creating the blueprint for your AI-powered house. You wouldn't want to build it without one, right?
I totally agree with you on the importance of domain expertise. And on the framework, let me add something here. It's also important to break down those subjective evaluation criteria that businesses often throw around into smaller, measurable chunks. It is very, very important. Like, instead of just saying good customer service, define what that means. Response time, sentiment, resolution rate. Those details, make all the difference when you're training a model.
That's a valuable insight. So breaking down those complex concepts into granular, measurable components. And on the technical side, data scientist, what are the key elements of a robust AI framework?
A robust framework needs to be iterative and adaptable. You start with a baseline model and then continuously evaluate and refine it using techniques like cross-validation, hyperparameter tuning, and A/B testing. You also need to build in mechanisms for, detecting and mitigating bias, ensuring fairness, and providing explainability for the model's decisions. It's an ongoing process, not a one-time thing.
And DevOps engineer, how does this framework translate into the actual implementation and deployment of the AI application?
Well, the framework guides the development of the actual code the APIs, and the integration with existing systems. We use the principles of CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous delivery, to automate the process of building, testing, and deploying the application. This ensures that we can quickly iterate and release new versions while maintaining, high quality and stability. Also, we have to keep in mind the multimodal capabilities for the future.
So, we've talked about building and implementing, but how do you ensure that these applications continue to deliver value over time? What does that operationalization look like, strategist?
Operationalizing AI is about more than just deploying a model. It's about creating a system for ongoing monitoring, evaluation, and improvement. You need to track key performance indicators, KPIs, gather user feedback, and have a process for retraining and updating the model as needed. It's like maintaining a well-oiled machine, ensuring it stays in top shape.
I agree with what you said about the system. But here is a surprise for you all. Many might not know, but I actually started my career not in the data labs, but on the trading floor.
Wow, really? That's quite a career pivot. How has that real-world high-pressure experience influenced your work in data science and AI?
Well, it taught me the importance of quick decision-making based on real-time data. Also, it emphasized the need for systems that are not just accurate, but also adaptable and resilient under pressure. These lessons, they're directly applicable to designing AI that can thrive in dynamic, real-world environments. I think that is what we need for the future. An AI that can understand the multimodal inputs, many models working together, and produce output that may be multimodal.
That is truly fascinating and unexpected. From Wall Street to AI, who would have imagined? It just shows that diverse backgrounds can bring really unique and valuable perspectives to this field.
And to add to that, from an operational perspective, we need to think about things like model monitoring, detecting data drift, and ensuring that the application remains secure and compliant with regulations. We also need to plan for, scalability and disaster recovery. It's about building a resilient system that can handle the ups and downs of the real world.
That's crucial. And with the ever-evolving landscape of AI, how important is it to have a framework that's not just operational, but also adaptable and future-proof? Data scientist?
It's incredibly important. The field of AI is constantly evolving with new models, techniques, and ethical considerations emerging all the time. A good framework needs to be flexible enough to, incorporate these advancements and adapt to changing business needs and regulations. It's about building a system that can learn and grow over time.
So it's like building a system that can evolve with the times. Strategist, any final thoughts on the importance of a forward-looking approach to AI development?
Absolutely. In today's rapidly changing world, it's not enough to just react to current trends. You need to anticipate future needs and build systems that are prepared for what's coming next. This means investing in research, staying up to date on the latest advancements, and, fostering a culture of continuous learning and innovation. It is the only way to stay ahead of the curve.
And DevOps engineer, any closing remarks on the technical side of ensuring these systems are ready for the future?
From a technical standpoint, it's about embracing new technologies like serverless computing, containerization, and edge AI to build more agile and efficient systems. It's also about, fostering collaboration between development, operations, and security teams to ensure that these systems are not only innovative, but also are robust and secure. And I think we need to be ready for a multimodal world.
That's a fantastic point to wrap up on. It's clear that building successful AI applications requires a holistic approach, one that considers not just the technology but also the business objectives, the ethical implications, and the long-term vision. A huge thanks to our panel for sharing their insights today. This has been an incredibly informative discussion. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Tech Talk. Until next time, keep innovating. Welcome back to Tech Talk AI on AI Part 2, everyone. We're continuing our deep dive into the world of AI applications. We've laid the groundwork, and now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details. Let's start with a real-world business use case. Strategist, can you paint us a picture of a scenario where a company might want to implement a generative AI application?
Sure. Imagine a customer service department for a large e-commerce company. They're dealing with thousands of customer inquiries every day, and they want to use AI to improve response times and, personalize the customer experience. They could use a generative AI application to automatically generate responses to common customer questions like order tracking, returns, and product information. This would free up human agents to handle more complex issues, ultimately improving customer satisfaction and operational efficiency.
That's a great example. So let's break down how our people, ideas, and machines framework would apply to this specific scenario. Data scientist, from a people perspective, what kind of team would you assemble for this project?
Well, for this project, you'd need a mix of generalist software engineers, those comfortable with building and deploying applications. But the emphasis on traditional ML expertise here would be less compared to older requirements. Crucially, you'd need customer service domain experts, those who understand the nuances of customer interactions and can guide the development process. And of course, a data scientist with a background in NLP, to oversee model training and evaluation.
Interesting. So a shift away from deep learning specialists towards a more balanced team. DevOps engineer, what are your thoughts on this reduced emphasis from an operational standpoint?
Yeah, from an ops perspective, this makes sense. With the rise of user-friendly AI platforms and APIs, the need for, hardcore ML engineers who can build models from scratch is diminishing, especially for these more out-of-the-box generative AI solutions. We can focus more on integrating these tools into our existing infrastructure, ensuring scalability, and, maintaining the application, rather than getting bogged down in the intricacies of model development. It is all about the right division of labor, I would say.
That's a significant shift in the landscape. Now let's talk about the ideas part of our framework, specifically around design feedback and user feedback. Strategist, how would you approach gathering feedback in this e-commerce customer service scenario?
For design feedback, you'd want to involve your customer service agents early on. They're the ones who will be using the system, so their input is invaluable. You could have them test out early prototypes, provide feedback on the generated responses, and, suggest improvements. For end-user feedback, you'd want to build mechanisms into the customer interface to capture signals like thumbs-up-down ratings on the generated responses, options to regenerate responses, and even the ability for customers to directly edit or correct the AI's output.
Data scientist, can you elaborate on the technical side of capturing and interpreting those signals?
Absolutely. Each of those signals, thumbs up, down, copy, paste, regenerate, acceptance of suggestions, edits, provides valuable data points. Thumbs up, down gives you a, direct sentiment signal. Copy, paste might indicate that the response was useful but needed slight tweaking. Regenerate suggests that the initial response wasn't satisfactory. And acceptance, like in the GitHub Copilot example, that can be inferred by tracking if a suggestion was acted upon or how much of AI-generated response remains in production. By tracking these signals, you can create a rich data set for ongoing model evaluation and refinement. You can identify areas where the model is performing well and areas where it needs improvement. You can pinpoint specific types of queries or customer segments where the model might be struggling.
That's fascinating. So these signals become the foundation for your structured evaluation framework. Can you walk us through that framework in more detail?
Sure. A structured evaluation framework, starts with defining clear metrics aligned with your business objectives. In this case, it might be things like customer satisfaction, resolution rate, and response time. Then you break down those metrics into smaller, measurable components. For example, customer satisfaction could be further broken down into our sentiment analysis of customer feedback, ratings of generated responses, and, the frequency of escalations to human agents. You then use a combination of automated evaluations, like using an LLM to judge the quality of generated responses based on predefined criteria, and human evaluations, where domain experts review a sample of interactions and provide their assessment.
DevOps engineer, how does this structured evaluation framework tie into the tools and infrastructure you'd use to operationalize the application? It is quite complex, right?
Right? The framework informs the metrics we track in our monitoring dashboards. We use tools to automatically log user interactions, capture feedback signals, and track model performance over time. We can then, set up alerts to notify us of any significant deviations from expected performance, like a sudden drop in customer satisfaction or an increase in response times. This allows us to quickly identify and address issues, ensuring the application continues to deliver value. We can also use this data to automate the retraining and redeployment process, creating a feedback loop that continuously improves the application's performance. We need to keep in mind the multi-model and multimodal nature of interactions. That is how we make this operational.
So it's a continuous cycle of monitoring, evaluation, and improvement, all driven by data and guided by the framework. Strategist, any final thoughts on the importance of this holistic approach?
Absolutely. This framework, encompassing people, ideas, and machines, is essential for, successfully developing and deploying AI applications that deliver real business value. It's not just about the technology. It's about aligning the technology with the business objectives, involving the right people, and creating a system for continuous improvement. Only then can you truly unlock the transformative power of AI. Also, I think in the future, we will see more and more of such applications moving from a single model to a multi-model approach. Also, the input and output can be multimodal.
That's a great point to end on. The landscape is constantly evolving, and having a robust, adaptable framework is key to navigating that evolution. Thanks again to our panel for this insightful discussion. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Tech Talk. Until next time, keep exploring the fascinating world of AI.